Hi, I'm Mary Beth Gibson, the co-founder of Here for the Girls, and this is my dad, also known as Bob Morrill, and we're here today to just share a conversation with you about breast cancer. So Dad, you know a lot of people who've been affected by breast cancer. How has that affected you?
Well, it started early. Your grandmother, your mom's mother, had cancer in the 1960s before Mom and I were married. And during that time, people didn't talk about it a lot, so it was not a topic of conversation, which made it more difficult for me, of course, because she couldn't get the kind of support openly. It had to be kind of quiet from people. She did not die of cancer. She died of a heart attack from asthma many years later. It never recurred. And then Mom, of course, in 1981, January 1981, she was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer, and did a mastectomy. It was fine for years, all the health checkups, but in 1993, in September, it reached at stage 4. So those could have blown walls. She lived well for 2 years and 9 months, courageous. And she passed away in 96, June 10th. And then you. So it's had a deep effect on our lives, for sure. And then a close friend of mine, as you mentioned earlier when we were talking, Robbie Smilac, had breast cancer 3 times, finally succumbed to it. Very good friend. We did our doctoral dissertation together. And she buried me, and I went to see her the last 10 days before she died, spent time with her. So it's affected us deeply, the whole family. And fortunately, you're doing well. Leah's not had cancer. No one else is affected by it. Aunt Joe didn't get it. Kathy hasn't had it. Kristen, we have many relatives from the same bloodline, and we're fortunate no one else is getting it. And you're going to do well.
I am doing well. It's been 17 years, which is hard to believe, and I remember leaving the doctor's office, the radiologist, and she said, "This is probably breast cancer that we're dealing with." And I was driving home, and I called you. I don't know. Well, I'm sure you remember.
I remember.
Yeah, and
I wrote a letter that day.
and I remember saying, "Dad, it's me," and I found a lump, and I couldn't say another word. I had to hand the phone to Bo, and Bo told you what was going on, and you live an hour away with Laura, and you guys were at the house like an hour and 5 minutes later, and you've always been there for me.
Thank you. I will be. Everybody's going to be with you.
Yeah.
And stay with you.
Yep. Yeah. And I know it was hard with Mom, for all of us, and you were a caregiver for almost 3 years.
She did well in the initial months and really wanted to do everything she could, so she stayed at work until the last couple of months in a wheelchair. So she was courageous, lived her life as fully as she could with each new constraint. So and people pulled behind her. People came to visit us in Blacksburg, sent notes, cards. John moved to Virginia to be close to her from Florida, and you're always around, and that support meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember we alternated weekends. I'd be home one weekend, and John and Jeff would be home the weekend I wasn't.
Right.
And I remember gathering around the table in the breakfast nook, playing Scrabble. And she loved to cook.
Scramble, yeah.
Yeah, lots of Scrabble and double Manhattans. But she loved to cook, so we'd bring the food over to her. I remember making meatballs at the table because she couldn't stand anymore. But you're right, she, up until the very end. You know, one of the things I say about the women that I met through Here for the Girls who had metastatic breast cancer is they didn't teach me how to die, they taught me how to live. And that first lesson came from Mom. She lived every day up until her last.
For sure. And she was fully aware of what was happening. She said she wasn't afraid to die. But she missed us. That was her last one.
Yeah.
She wasn't afraid.
know another important lesson that I learned from Mom and the other women that I've worked with over the years is we've got to live for them. I know a lot of times I don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people don't have the choice, and that's another thing that I think our family has really done is live that life as fully as we can and remember Mom when we're together, and relish and be grateful for the love.
We're fortunate to have a large extended family. Mom's side, my side, we're all together. Even like the lake week this week. So many people together. It was helpful.